The morning the outbreak began, nobody believed the news. Videos of people attacking each other filled social media feeds, but everyone thought it was a hoax, a viral campaign for a horror movie, or just another round of AI-generated nonsense. It wasn't until the emergency alert buzzed every phone and television in the country that the panic started to take root. Miles Weaver was stocking shelves at the grocery store when the power cut out. The lights blinked off with a soft pop, and the humming of the refrigeration units died with it. He stood frozen, a box of cereal in one hand, staring into the sudden silence that fell across the store. Then came the screaming. It started outside, near the parking lot, and was followed by the sound of something crashing through glass. Miles ran to the front just as the automatic doors hissed open without power. Someone must have triggered the manual override, and a woman covered in blood staggered in. Her left arm hung at an unnatural angle, and half her face was torn away, revealing slick muscle and white bone beneath. She wasn't screaming, though. Her jaw worked in slow, mindless chomps, blood drooling from her lips like syrup. The store manager, Larry, stepped forward. "Ma'am, you okay? We're calling an ambulance." The woman lunged and bit a chunk out of Larry's throat before anyone could react. The chaos was instant. People screamed, scattering between aisles and dropping baskets of groceries. Miles backed away, tripping over his own feet, and crawled toward the employee break room. He could hear Larry gurgling on the floor, his blood spraying across the polished linoleum. Then the woman turned to the next closest shopper and lunged again. Miles slammed the break room door and shoved a table in front of it. He wasn't alone. Carmen, one of the cashiers, had followed him in, sobbing hysterically. "What the hell is going on?" she whispered, her fingers shaking as she tried to dial 911. "It just keeps ringing." "It's happening everywhere," Miles said, more to himself than her. He opened his phone and scrolled through his feed. The headlines were all the same: mass attacks across country, hospitals overwhelmed. Stay indoors. Then another notification pinged, this one from the government. Shelter in place. Do not approach infected individuals. Use blunt force if necessary. Aim for the head. That's when it hit him. These weren't just sick people. They were zombies. It took hours before the store fell quiet. By then, Miles and Carmen had barricaded themselves into the manager's office, using filing cabinets and desks. They tried calling their families, no answers. Miles's sister lived across town with her 2 kids. He sent her a message. "Stay inside, lock the doors, don't let anyone in. I'll come get you." The text went through, but there was no reply. When night fell, the groans began. Long, low, animalistic. Miles peered out the window and saw dozens of them wandering the parking lot, people he recognized. Neighbors, customers. A mailman, still in uniform, with half his face missing. The next morning, they made a run for it. Armed with a crowbar and a baseball bat, they crept through the shattered front doors and out into the sun. The neighborhood was a war zone. Cars sat abandoned in the streets, some still idling. Fires burned unchecked in the distance, and the sky was already tinged a strange orange from the smoke. They stuck to alleyways, moving block by block. It took them 2 hours to reach Miles' sister's house, and by the time they did, they were drenched in sweat, their arms sore from swinging at anything that twitched. The front door was open. Miles rushed inside, screaming her name. The living room was a mess, furniture overturned, blood smeared across the walls. Carmen grabbed his arm and pointed to the hallway. A trail of red led toward the basement. He found them huddled in the dark, his sister clinging to her kids. They hadn't been bitten, just scared out of their minds. "We heard them outside," she whispered. "I thought maybe if we stayed quiet, they'd leave." They didn't. They holed up together for a few days, gathering supplies, sealing windows. Carmen showed the kids how to use knives, while Miles fashioned spears out of broomsticks and kitchen knives. At night, the groans outside never stopped. And every morning, there were more of them. One day, a helicopter flew overhead, broadcasting a message. "Safe zone established at Fort Lewis. Proceed north. Bring only essential supplies. No infected allowed." Miles looked at his sister. "We can't stay here forever." It took them 3 days to prepare. They packed water, canned food, flashlights, and weapons. Carmen drew a route on a torn map, and at dawn they stepped outside, locking the door behind them one last time. The city was unrecognizable. Downtown looked like a battlefield, military barricades torn apart, abandoned tanks, blood-stained pavement. They moved fast, avoiding open spaces, always listening. But it wasn't enough. On the third night, while camped in a garage, they heard the moaning again. Then the banging. Miles peeked through the cracks and saw dozens of them surrounding the house. "We need to go," Carmen said, eyes wide. Now. They burst out the back door, fighting through the dark. One of the kids tripped and cried out, and the horde turned. Miles picked her up and ran. They lost the other girl that night. She'd been right behind them, and then she was gone, swallowed by the dark and the screams. His sister collapsed when they reached shelter, wailing into her hands. It was the first time Miles cried since it began. Fort Lewis was 50 miles away, and they had 30 left. Each day got harder. The air grew thick with ash from burning buildings. They passed neighborhoods where no one survived, entire cul-de-sacs silent except for the flies. They found a man in a tree, hanging by his belt, a handwritten sign pinned to his chest. "I couldn't take it anymore." On the 5th day, Carmen was bitten. It happened fast. One of them lunged from behind a dumpster and sank its teeth into her side before Miles could kill it. She screamed, already knowing what it meant. "I'm not turning," she said, an hour later. "I feel fine." But they all knew better. His sister took the kids inside, giving them an excuse. Carmen leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "I want you to do it," she said. Miles shook his head. "Don't ask me that. I don't want to be one of them," she whispered. "Please," he cried as he held her hand, and when she closed her eyes, he swung the crowbar one last time. Afterward, they buried her in a backyard garden. The kids laid flowers on the grave. The final stretch was the worst. Roads were choked with wrecked cars and bodies. A single scream could summon a swarm in minutes. They started moving at night, using moonlight and alleyways. Miles taught the kids to hold their breath, to play dead, to kill if they had to. Fort Lewis came into view just as the sun broke through the clouds, a massive wall of concrete and barbed wire, guarded by armed soldiers. For a moment, Miles thought it might be a dream. Then, the gunshots started. From behind them, a horde came pouring out of the tree line, dozens, maybe hundreds. The soldiers opened fire, and Miles grabbed the kids and ran. His sister screamed behind him, too slow to keep up. He turned to help, but 2 of them had already tackled her. She screamed his name as they dragged her down. He didn't look back. Inside the gates, the soldiers pulled him and the kids to safety. The gates slammed shut, and the screaming was cut off. Inside the safe zone, everything was sterile. White tents, food lines, guards with machine guns. Miles sat in the dirt with the kids as a medic checked them over. One of the soldiers said something about quarantine and blood tests, but he wasn't listening. His sister was gone. Carmen was gone. Everyone was gone. And then he realized something worse. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a soldier stumble. Another fell beside him. People began screaming. Miles turned and saw the medic convulsing, his veins blackening, his skin blistering in seconds. Someone had turned inside the safe zone, and it was starting all over again.